So today we are going to learn about attributes, attributes and extended attribute. Can any one of you tell us what is attribute? Anyone?
Attributes such as first name, last name, email, phone number, address.
Correct.
These
One
are
example.
attributes.
Correct. So attribute is nothing. Attributes all about placeholder where we can store some data. Like when the moment we are going to manage all user information, definitely we should create some place to store the value. From Sailpoint perspective, I'm saying, not from database perspective. If you are going to create database, inside the database, if you are going to store the data, then definitely you are going to call it as a column, not as an attribute, correct? Because we will create one table, specific table, where we will create columns and index. Inside those columns, we will store the data when it comes to database. But in SailPoint also, we have to store the data right from front end. So in that scenario, attributes we can introduce and we can store all the values, not only identity value, not only employee information, we can store all kind of information. So wherever you are going to store some data in SailPoint, you may call it as attribute. You can. Okay. That's why I said attributes are nothing. It's like a placeholder where you can store all the values. So what is extended attribute? So extended attributes are nothing. So whatever attributes came as a default, you may call it as standard attributes or out of the box attribute, whatever attribute you are going to create as per the requirement, which means you are doing some customization. So you may call it as extended attribute. Okay. So today we will learn how to create these extended attribute, because once in a while you will came across this requirement as a developer, and you should know how to create these attributes, because based on these attribute values, attribute field value, you are going to write a lot of rules. Let's take an example. um, you are planning to do certification. Maybe you want to exclude Singapore based location employee. Okay. So in that scenario, based on location attribute, you are going to write some rule. You will write if employee belongs to this location, so don't add them in the certification, like if condition. So we can apply. So with the help of attributes, we can do a lot. Are we clear so far? So whenever you get requirement to create any extended attribute, you have to follow these steps. First, make sure attributes are defined. In the Hibernate file. I'll tell you what is Hibernate file later. Second, make sure from Sailpoint front end, we are going to store the value. Those values will store under database, isn't it?
Of course, yes.
So the moment, because Sailpoint has its own database, so definitely Sailpoint has a lot of tables to store the data and columns will be there. So now we are going to create new attribute. Let's take an example, employee start date, because out of the box, we don't have that attribute. So based on employee start date, we can do a lot of activities like trigger joiner event to provide birth rate access, a lot of things. So now we need to introduce that attribute so that we can perform our day-to-day activities. The moment we are going to create employee start date extended attribute, similar way, it should store inside the database as well, right? So we should make sure column has been created. So who will perform this activity in real-time project?
DBA,
Can't we do that?
the DBA, database administrator.
Exactly, DBA will do, but can't we do this activity?
I guess we can do it in the Sailpoint, but not sure if we have permissions to do it in the database or the applications.
We don't have permissions most of the time, so we can't. We have to rely on database team only. Okay. So third step, attributes needs to be define in the global settings, identity mapping. Okay, so these three steps needs to be followed whenever you get requirement. Identity. Okay. So here we have username, first name, last name, email, manager type. So these are the predefined attribute in Sailpoint for all identities, correct? So you may call it as out of the box attribute, or you can call it as standard attribute. Okay. In different project, they will use the different terminology. Sometimes they will call it as out of the box attribute. Sometimes they will call it a standard attribute. So now here I'm going to add a couple of attributes like employee start date, employee end date, employee department, location, region, phone number, position ID. So whatever attributes are required based on the business requirement, we can add over here. So whatever attributes you are going to create, you may call it as extended attribute or customized attribute. And if any attributes, it may be out of the box attribute, it may be extended attribute. If any attributes are related to identity, then you can call it as identity attribute as well. Got it? If any attributes are related to application, then you may call it as application attribute, application extended attribute. So in similar way, we can create attributes for 9 type of identity objects, including identities, application, entitlement, roles, certification, and accounts. For accounts also you can create. Apart from that, you can create for server and two more identity object. So totally you can create attributes, extended attributes for 9 type of identity object. So try to remember these points, key points. So are we clear? Okay, so now we'll create extended attribute for identity warehouse. So can you name out few attributes which needs to be created for identities? Any one of you? So till type is there, we have to create a couple of attributes, extended attribute for identity. Can you
As you,
tell
ma-
attribute name?
as you mentioned, the start date, end date, title, uh,
Okay.
phone number,
Yeah. So
address.
do you guys want to learn how we are performing this requirement in real-time project? Because we have a shortcut too.
What is it again? Where to learn it? From where?
Okay, so now we are going to create extended attribute, right? My
Yes.
question was, so do you want to learn how we are supposed to create in real-time project environment, or do you want to learn the shortcut how to create?
Well, both, I guess. Let's put example of both, where we can create a real-time environment, that's what
No,
help us
first
in
let
the
me talk
projects.
about the easiest way, which we shouldn't follow in real-time project. Okay, so
Okay.
which means
Mhm.
I have shown 3 steps, right? The first 2 steps we are going to skip, which means we are not going to update the attribute in the Hibernate file. We are not going to ask DB team to create the column, correct? So instead of, we can skip 2 steps and we can follow the 3rd step directly. So to do that, let me take control. Guys, don't get confused. This is the first method which we shouldn't follow in real-time project. So go to global settings, go to identity mapping directly. So here we can add attributes, whatever attributes are required. Okay, so can you write? Can you type? Hamu?
Yeah. Phone number.
Okay.
Display is a phone number, correct? The same thing?
Same thing you can. And you
Yeah.
guys should know the difference between attribute name and display name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Safe.
Yes.
But what they're different. Like start date is a numeric,
Yeah, yeah,
whereas
it's fine.
this, yeah, okay,
Okay,
that's
add a
fine.
new attribute saying escalation manager. So new attribute, hypothetically, add it. Escalation manager. Okay. So you have added 4 attributes here, right? Which means you have directly followed the third step. Now, can you go to identity and validate whether you are able to see?
Uh,
Go to identity warehouse, pick any one identity.
Go here,
Yes,
identity.
correct. Identity warehouse. Pick any one identity. See the extended attribute which we created, it's not appearing here. Whether you
Okay,
are following the simple way or the real-time project method, when it comes to identity, you have to follow the fourth step. The fourth step is nothing. You have to go to the debug page. From there, you have to do some customization. You have to add this attribute. Until unless you are going to follow the fourth step, you cannot create extended attribute for identities. I would say only for identities, as far as I remember. For other object type like application, entitlement, roles, certification, accounts, so third step is enough. Till third step is enough. Okay, the fourth step we will follow now. To follow the fourth step, go to debug page. So from here, UI configuration. So here you have to type identity view attribute. The file is too large, so it will take time usually. Yeah. So whatever attributes you have added, so can you add the same here also?
yeah. You
Better you
said,
can do the copy paste. Just a minute. So just go to global setting, identity mapping. It's from here like start date, escalation manager. Just do the copy paste. Just copy the value and paste over there. You should always copy the attribute name. I mean attribute value. Yeah.
right
Now
there.
go to the next tab. So after administrator, add comma. Don't add space. Yeah. Is the value.
Said the address.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, should we just
No, 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 no.
click?
We didn't add that. Add escalation
Okay.
manager and address, phone number. Yeah.
Start date, address. That's all I think.
Remove the space.
Yeah.
Yeah. Click save. Okay. Now go to identity warehouse. Open any identity. See, all 4 attributes, extended attributes are appearing here. This is the easiest method of creating attributes, but we shouldn't follow this method in real-time project. It will create a problem. So guys, we have created these attributes here, but what about the database where all the values are going to store?
That's an issue. Yeah, because it's created in the identity, but it's not in the database.
Anyone? Arvinder, Lawrence, Shivraj, Vaibhav, Sani, you guys are able to understand?
Yes, Rakesh.
Yes, sure, Rakesh.
Yeah.
Okay. So now my question is, we have created these attributes. Now we are going to store some value. But what about the database columns? I mean, is the value where all of these values going to store? Okay, here you have to consider 2 things. So the attribute creation in real-time project, most of the time the extended attribute will be created while implementing the Sailpoint. Okay, which means while installing Sailpoint, they will add one more step where all extended attributes will be created. Okay. So we won't create this extended attribute very often. So point number 2, once you have created this extended attribute using the easiest method in the column, whatever columns are available, like extended 1, 2, 3 columns will be there. Can you open MySQL Workbench? Let me show you. Yeah, can you go to the identity IQ database and SPT underscore identity table?
Sure.
Okay, well, let me do that now. See, here we have SPT underscore identity table. Just expand that column. Here we have extended 1 to 10, right? So these columns will be empty as of now. So whatever attributes you have created using the 3rd step directly, so those values will get stored automatically in any one of these columns from extended 1 to 10. Okay. So now we will learn how we are supposed to create this extended attribute in real-time project.
So this method here is the real time rather than what we did earlier.
No, this is the easiest method which we shouldn't follow. We shouldn't do this in real-time project. Because first we will make sure the attributes has been updated in the Hibernate file. Second, whenever we are going to execute in the database, whenever we are going to update in the column in the database, so the column will be created. So 3rd step we can follow. Got it?
Okay.
Okay. So guys, forgot about this easiest method. Now we will learn. As I said, first step, we have to update the attribute name in the Hibernate file. So we will create for entitlement catalog. Okay, let's say I'm going to add new entitlement. Here we have a requirement to add a couple of additional attributes, like whether this attribute is a privileged entitlement or not, who will be the owner, privileged entitlement owner. So we have to add 2 more attributes here, 2 more attributes. Okay, one is privileged entitlement, yes or no. It's kind of Boolean value. Checkbox should be there. Second, privileged entitlement owner. From the drop-down, identity value should appear. So the respective owner identity we can choose and we can save. That's our requirement. Are we clear? So we have to create attribute for entitlement. So the first step, we will go to the Hibernate file. How to go there? First, go to your server. Go to the folder where you have installed, where you have deployed your application server and application. Go to Identity IQ, Web INF, classes. Sailpoint object. Here you could see we have 9 type of identity object. So we can create extended attribute for alerts. Usually we won't do that. Application, bundle, you guys know what is bundle, certification item, identities, link. Link is nothing, it's account. So managed attribute means it's entitlement. So you can create for server and target. So based on the requirement, you have to choose the file and you have to modify. So now I'm going to create 2 extended attribute for entitlement. So I'll pick this file. And one major key point, guys, whenever you are going to modify these Hibernate file, make sure you have taken a backup, because if you're going to add one extra comma or full stop, so your production environment will be down. Production or dev QA, whatever environment, your Sailpoint application will be down basically. So make sure you have taken a backup of this file. This file is very important. We shouldn't touch very often. So now I'm going to I'll take a backup of this file. I will edit this Hibernate file now. Okay. So I have to explain how to update this file. So let me choose this. First I will explain, and after that we will open the respective Hibernate file. Okay. So guys, by default, 10 attributes will be there. 10 extended attributes will be there. You can map. Okay, if you want to increase maximum of 20, we can increase without any issue. If you want to introduce new attributes more than 20, then you have to add this line called extended property accessor. You have to add. If the attribute count is going to be more than 20, definitely you should add. So I would suggest, whether it's less than 20 or more than 20, don't worry, add this line blankly. So this extended property accessor is nothing. It's something like this. You have to add. You have to add this line number 70. Whenever you are going to create new attribute, you have to add this blindly. Okay. Second, all data type. I mean, you are going to create attributes. The purpose, you can store some value. The data type could be string. The data type could be integer, Boolean, correct? Whatever it may be. Maybe you are going to store only numbers. You are going to store only some words, some values, correct? Or maybe it will be a checkbox like yes or no, true or false kind of thing. Whatever data type it may be. So in the Hibernate file, you have to declare the attribute as a string. The attribute data type should be as string. And the virtual value, so based on your SQL Server or MySQL, so these many characters the virtual you can create, but 400, 500 is enough. So this is how we are going to create new extended attribute. So just copy this property. And we can add. Are we clear?
I don't know what did you do? Just copy it? Don't you have to define it?
No, we have to define it, but we have opened this identity file, right? But our requirement, we are going to create it for entitlement. So we have to pick other Hibernate file. So to get a better understanding, I have to explain, right? So you should know what is property name, what is the data type. Let's say here we are going to create an attribute called employee start date. Start date means we cannot enter any character. I mean, we cannot mention any alphabetic character, right? We are going to mention numeric character when it comes to start date or end date. So in that scenario, if you're going to declare the data type as string, then it should be integer, right?
Integer, yeah.
But here in the Hibernate file, we have to declare it as a string, even though it's an integer value. That's what I'm trying to explain. 1, 2. If you are going to introduce more than 20 extended attribute, you have to add this extended property accessor line, which means I was referring this. Line number 70, we have to add inside each and every attribute. Are we clear? Because this is very important. Let's say you forgot to add this line. Your environment will be down. You cannot access your application, Sailpoint application. If it is a real-time project, definitely P1 will be raised immediately. Bridge call will be open. You have to involve because of your small mistake. So don't forget this. So that's why I would say, whether it's less than 20 attributes, more than 20 attributes, don't think, don't count. Blindly add this line. It's not going to cause anything.
But up to 9 attributes, we don't have to add it.
Yes, as per the document, we no need to add, but we are not sure, right? So whether how many attributes exactly they have created in the backend. We got a requirement to create a couple of attributes, 1 or 2 maybe. We are not sure. I mean, how many attributes already declared. Maybe in the Hibernate file, it's not showing. Directly, they have created in Sailpoint. The reason could be anything. So that's why I would say, whether it's less than 20 or more than 20, don't think about it. Just add this line blind. Okay. So now we will choose the right file, right Hibernate file called managed attribute. And now we are going to introduce those attributes. See. Okay, so instead of extended one, you can mention your attribute name. Privileged entitlement or not, correct? So the data type will be string, length will be 450 characters enough. It depends on your server, whether it's MySQL, MS SQL, it depends. What is index? Do we have anyone from database team here? Can somebody tell us what is index? Index are nothing. We are going to create a couple of attributes like privileged entitlement, privileged owner, whoever it may be. These attributes will be used by business people, end user, for searchable purpose. Let's say business has something, some activity. They want to filter all the privileged entitlement. So they are going to search all the entitlement with the help of this privileged entitlement attribute, what we are going to create. So in that scenario, this attribute is going to act, this will act as a searchable. In that scenario, we have to declare an index so that the value will be fetched from the database as fast as possible. So if the attribute is going to use for searchable purpose, then we have to create index automatically. So whenever before getting these requirements from stakeholder, you should make sure whether this attribute we are going to use it for searchable purpose or not. If yes, then we have to create index, or else it's not required. So privileged entitlement is the name. So we can replace so that the new index will be created. That's it. So let me add one more attribute. So the next one, privileged entitlement owner. Okay, so that's it. So I have added 2 attributes in the Hibernate file. So let me save this. So the first step is done. We have added the attribute in the Hibernate file. Second, we have to make sure that in the database, in the respective table, we have created a column so that we can store this value. Correct? So if it is a real time, you can take a snapshot of this Hibernate file. You can send it to your DBA, database administrator or database team, and you can ask them to create the column, respective column. They will do it on their own. But since here we don't have any DB team, we have to create on our own so that we can learn a lot. So first, you should know how to create the table. So you can Google it. If you know how to write the query, just Google it and create the columns. Column means I was referring this. So let's go to spt underscore managed attribute table. expand the column. So till target ID, oh, sorry, not this one. I have opened the wrong table. SPT managed attribute. Till assigned scope is there. Now we are going to add two more columns here. So if you know the query to write, yeah, you can create on your own. If you're not sure, if you're not from DB team, if you're not sure how to write the query, then we have another way. You can go to bin folder. I mean, you can open command prompt and change the path to bin folder, which means go to this bin folder, open command prompt. So from here, you have to type IAQ extended schema. In the first session, I mean, in the installation chapter, I have told if the DB query is not there to create the database, so we have to use the command called IAQ schema so that the DB queries will be generated. Do you remember that? Do you recall?
Yes.
So IAQ schema was the command, correct, to generate the DB query so that we can create the database. So in a similar way, we have another command called IAQ extended schema. Yes, should be in the uppercase. The character yes should be in the uppercase. So it will generate the script for extended attributes as well.
S is capital you have. Maybe
Yes.
it's a small.
No, it should be in the capital only. Extend. Okay, there is a spelling mistake. Extended schema. So it will generate the query for extended attributes. Now you can go to WebINF folder, database folder. Here you could see some new 4 file has been generated with today's timestamp, current timestamp, 16th of November, 9:37 p.m. So you can choose your respective one, respective file, MySQL one. Open with Notepad. So we are going to deal with managed attribute. So this is managed attribute. Here you could see from line number 71 to 74. So we are going to alter the table called managed attribute so then we can add the privileged entitlement column, correct? And we will create the index for that also. And similar way, we are going to create another table called privileged entitlement owner, where we will create the index for that. So now let's execute this query directly on the workbench. Or maybe you can execute this file directly also. So let me show you that. First, we will execute the first line. Yeah, it got completed successfully. Now I'm going to refresh the column. So here you could see one new column has been created, privileged entitlement, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So let me create another column. It's done. See, privileged entitlement owner. Both the column has been created, which means we can store the value. So now we will create index, which means this index. So index is nothing. It's usable for, I mean, this index will be used if you want to search any information very fast. If you want to fetch any information. So we have created the index as well. So two index has been created. Privileged entitlement owner. So first two step has been done, correct? We have completed both the step. The third step, guys, if you didn't understand anything, if you want to clarify anything, ask me, I'll explain.
Would have done them at the one step, just highlight all of them and execute.
Come again?
I said that you could have done just highlight all of them and execute,
Yeah, we could have
one.
done that.
Yeah. Okay. No,
I have done one by one so that I can show it to you.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, then we will follow the third step. So we'll go to global setting. As usual, here I can global setting. So now which tab we have to choose? For identities, we have to choose identity mapping, correct?
Hmm.
For entitlement,
Entitlement category attributes.
hmm?
Entitlement catalog attributes.
For link attribute.
No, it says entitlement catalog attributes.
Yes,
Is
yes,
that?
yes. For entitlement, yeah, we can choose that. That's right. But what about entitlement role? Where are we going to add? For account, for application.
Role
For
configuration.
account, you should choose this account mapping. For application attribute, you have to choose this application extended attribute. For roles, you have to choose this. Okay. So now let's add those attribute here. Yeah, yeah, Mahmoud, you can add the new attribute. So don't do the copy paste. I mean, don't write manually. Just do the copy paste from the Hibernate file.
From where? From the file here?
No, Hibernate file. Yeah. So just copy the property name and paste over there.
Just this here?
Yes.
And here?
Yes.
You paste it here?
Correct. So maybe display name you can, it's for end user, right? Business people. You can write it in the proper case.
What's that? Description?
I was referring the display name.
Oh, what is it? Should I write?
Yeah, just
Business.
type in the proper case. Maybe you can make the changes.
Oh, okay.
So in between privileged and entitlement, can you space?
Okay.
Click save now.
Okay. Another one. Yeah. Is that okay? Just two?
Yes. So now go to entitlement and validate whether these attributes are appearing or not. So we have created attribute for entitlement, right? So we should go to entitlement catalog, not identities.
What is that?
Mohammed, you have open identities, right? But we should open entitlement. Go to application. Try to add new entitlement. So here you could see privileged entitlement, unprivileged entitlement owner, correct? So irrespective of all application, so these are, let me take control. Irrespective of all application, so these attributes will appear. So now we have to feed some value. How to do that? We cannot store any value right now. Anybody? Imagine I got a requirement to create a new entitlement. Yeah, I can feed all the values. But what about this privileged entitlement and privileged owner? It's grayed out, right? We cannot define any values over here. Okay, so before we get into that, guys, are we clear how to create any extended attribute for that 9 type of objects? If yes, then we'll proceed further. Because we have to talk about how to define these values. For identities, how to map the value. If you didn't understand, I'll explain one more time. Maybe we can give a try tomorrow how to assign these
Can you
values.
explain one more time? I joined a little late.
Yeah, Mariam. So, yeah, Mahmoud, can you stop sharing your screen? Let me share mine.
Yeah.
So, Mariam, whenever we get a requirement from stakeholder to create any extended attribute, we have to follow these 3 steps. The first step, we have to update in the Hibernate file, as we did. I have explained, right? So we have to add the attribute name in the property name field. We have to declare what type of objects we are going to store. Irrespective of data type, we have to declare string. The data type should be string. And the character and index we have to mention. So the index means if you are going to use this attribute for searchable purpose, let me open the Hibernate file also so that I can explain. So if you want to access the Hibernate file, you have to go to webinf classes. Sailpoint object. Here we have. So let's open this. Okay, here I don't have any attribute declared. Okay, no worries, I'll explain. So in the property name, Mariam, am I audible?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So in the property name, we have to mention the attribute name. Data type, always it will be string. Length 450 characters enough. And index, if you are going to use this extended one attribute, maybe it will be location, department, whatever attribute name. If you are going to use it for searchable purpose, then we have to declare index or else it's not required. Second, if you are going to have more than 20 extended attribute, as I said, we have to add one more line called access equals sailpoint dot persistent. Something will be there. I will show you again. We have to add that. So this is how we are going to update the Hibernate file. First step. Second, the moment we created these attributes, we are going to store some value. So in the database also these values should store, right? So to fulfill that, we have created a columns and index. If you know how to write the query, directly you can write. If you're not sure, then we have to generate those scripts. So to do that, we have gone to bin folder. We have access, open the command prompt. From there, we have typed the command called IAQ space extended schema. And yes, should be in the uppercase. Okay. Once you hit the enter button, the script will be generated. And I have shown some queries were there, right? So that query we have executed in the MySQL workbench so that the column and index were created. So that's the second step. Third step, go to gear icon, go to global setting. Depend on the object type. You have to choose the mapping value or attributes, and you have to introduce the new attribute from here as well. So this is what we have done so far. You got it? No?
Okay, got it.
Okay. What about other folks? Okay, I'll take that as no. How come you don't have any values, Mahmoud? Okay, yesterday we have executed this task called prune identity cubes and it deleted 10,192 identities. Correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Do you have that application now? Okay. We should need data, right,
I think.
to perform this identity co-mapping. Do you have that auth employees one? Do you have
Yeah.
that spreadsheet file?
App the file. It's yeah. It's in here.
Yeah, that's
Right.
fine. That's fine. Okay. Yeah, you have that auth. That's it.
But
Just a minute. Let me take control again. We need user right to perform. So I'll go to Acme HR application. I will replace the file. We'll go to schema, discover schema attribute, employee ID. I will declare.
the task now.
Hmm?
You're gonna execute the task, isn't it?
Mohammed, I couldn't hear you. Hello?
I said
What?
execute the task. You're gonna have to execute the
Yes.
task.
We have to
now.
execute the task. We have to save this
Yeah.
application and we have to execute the task.
It's already saved, isn't it?
No, it didn't save, I think. Yeah, now it got saved. We'll go to setup, task,
New
Acme
task.
HR application, execute.
Okay.
We'll create the identities so that we can perform our identity mappings. We have created a couple of attributes, right? Extended attributes. Now go to identity warehouse. Yeah, we have a lot of identities. So one A, here we have username. Today we have created start date, phone number, escalation manager address, a lot of values. So now for this identity, first name value should appear. This identity got created from this HR application account aggregation, correct? In the account section, you could see with the first name value, last name value, every values you can see, because this account value will be updated via aggregation task. So this is target application property. You should consider this is a target application property. This is Sailpoint property. So here we don't have first name value. So we have to declare, as I already said, Sailpoint will rely on the trusted source. It should be genuine data. So we can consider HR application is going to be the trusted source as always. So now go to where I can global settings, go to identity mapping. So you have to choose your respective attributes so that you can assign the values. First name is the attribute. Click on the add source. From which source we are going to get the field value. So as I said, we have to rely on the trusted source, right? So you can choose the HR application. So HR application has these columns like cost center, department, email ID.
First name.
Correct. So you have to choose first name from here. So this is application attribute, not identity attribute. Click add. Click save. Click save. Why we are getting that error? Okay, first name got updated. In a similar way, I'm going to update last name also. For Acme HR application, for last name.
And there.
So now escalation manager. Okay, so we have a business requirement, specific business requirement, where escalation manager will be set some identity. Okay, so you cannot add source from HR application in this scenario. So to do that, you have to write some rule. Okay. Whichever identity got aggregated from this HR application, which means whatever identities has been created from this application, this rule will be appear. If you want to define based on the application, because full-time employee will have one specific application, for contractor employee will have specific application. If you want to define any rule based on the application, you can choose this application rule, or else you can use this global rule. Whatever rule we are going to create here, it will applicable for all the identities simply. So nothing, I'm going to simply write one rule. I'm going to return one identity called SP admin. So SP admin will act as a manager, escalation manager in this scenario. So rule name we have to mention escalation manager. So just save, the rule will get created. Escalation manager is the rule name, click add. So whenever, if you want to pop up any field value, escalation manager, this rule will get execute. That's it, save. So we have provided 3 field values, right? It got saved. Now go to identity warehouse, just refresh. It's not appearing here. Why? Why it's not appearing? So we can add address also. So from HR application, select location maybe or region. Click save. Okay, we have updated this attribute, but it's not reflecting here because we have to execute couple of some tasks. The task name is refresh identity queue. Maybe I have said it or not. I don't remember exactly. Identity cube is nothing from here to here. You may call it as the entire area. You may call it as identity cube. Okay. Identity warehouse is a repository where all identity information will be there. The moment you are going to choose one particular identity, so the entire area, you can call it as identity queue. So we have to refresh the identity queue. Here we have a lot of arguments. So based on the requirement, you have to check, uncheck, and you can execute. So our requirement is we have to refresh all the identity attributes. Identity attribute means this one. So check that box and execute this. Save and execute. So it got updated. Now go to identity warehouse, refresh again. So here you could see first name, last name, escalation manager, and address. All 4 values got updated, correct?
Yes, sir.
Are we clear? Sani, Mariam, Shelton, Vaibhav, Arvinder.
Yep.
So now you know what is global rule, what is application rule, and from respective application, we can choose this field. And always remember, this is Sailpoint property, guys. So based on these value, event will get triggered. Based on these values, we are going to write a lot of rules, customization rules. So this is application property. Via aggregation, all information will be updated here, not here, not in the Sailpoint property, except for HR application. If HR application is going to update any value, it will reflect here definitely. Let's say 2 email ID has been created or some address has been changed, the department has been changed. So definitely it will update in the HR application. So via HR application, here it will get update. Already we have done the identity mapping using the HR source, right? So it will update here as well. Okay, and this method is applicable only for identities, not for entitlement and not for other object type. Okay, so Mahmoud, can you go to entitlement, new entitlement, add new entitlement?
Entitlement catalog.
Hmm?
Yeah.
Yes. Click on add new entitlement. the same extended attribute we have created. But when it comes to identity, most of the time we have to rely on HR source. But entitlement attribute or roles, it depends on the application team value. Whatever value they are going to provide, we have to choose here. As I said, so these field values should be enabled to provide some data. So to do that, can you open a new tab? No, I'll do it. No worries. So go to gear icon, global setting. So entitlement catalog attribute. So from here, make sure these attributes should be editable. So enable this checkbox. So it should be editable. Now go ahead and refresh. See, now here you can set some, you can provide some value.
Yeah.
Let's choose track application. If we are not able to edit, why? I'm selected as editable. See, now we are able to edit. Got it? So now, first let's start with privileged entitlement. So we should know whether this entitlement is a privilege entitlement or not, which means it's kind of yes or no, true or false, which comes under Boolean. So from here, you can change your data type. Instead of string, you can change it to Boolean. Click save. Now go ahead and refresh. See, now it's a checkbox. Got it? So based on your requirement, you can modify. So second, the same privileged entitlement. If you're going to use this attribute for searchable purpose, in the database, we have to create index, and even from here also we have to enable. So we'll talk about that later. So for this attribute, privileged entitlement owner, we should make sure all the identities should appear, right? So in that scenario, you can change the data type as identity and click save. So from here, all identities will be appear from the dropdown. So now I can save this value and it will store in the database and Sailpoint. Got it?
You cannot save it though. Can you save it?
Because first we have to select the application, right?
Okay.
So from which application, which email. Okay, so this is a privileged entitlement, and this person will act as a, Aaron Nichols will act as a.
Okay.
Yeah, so new entitlement got created with this value, okay? Okay, let's talk about other type. So apart from Boolean, string, identity, I have a question. So in this entitlement, don't we have any value? Okay. So now this should be mandatory field. This attribute value, this field should be a mandatory. This attribute should be a mandatory field. Without providing any information here, we cannot save. We are not allow end user to save this. We shouldn't allow. So how to make this attribute as a mandatory field. Anybody? So in that scenario, data type should be string, because only data type string has this field value called required. Required means it's mandatory one. Now go to new entitlement, save this. So here you could see a star mark is there, which means it's a mandatory field, like application type attribute. Apart from that, so you guys know, based on the requirement, you can change it to integer. If you want to appear any date, like we have an attribute called entitlement creation date. So just refresh this. See here we have entitlement creation date, and we can allow the business people to select the date from here. So these are the out of the box feature what we have in Sailpoint. Yeah, guys, that's all. These kind of changes we can perform. If you want to show any rule or date, Boolean value, checkbox, string, identity. Yeah. Are we clear?
Yes.
So far? Okay. So let's talk about the searchable purpose. So go to intelligence, go to advanced analytics. Okay. So change the type as entitlement, because since we have created two attributes, right? So these are the standard attributes like owner, value, application type, everything. We have created two attributes and we have instructed this attribute is going to act as a searchable. It will be used for searchable purpose, correct? Now, those attributes are not appearing here. If you want to appear them here, then open these attributes and declare them as a searchable. See, we have declared both the attribute, correct? Isn't it? But only one appearing here. Why?
Because the other one is integer.
So we have declared here it's appearing privileged entitlement owner. So which means this one is appearing. The entitlement creation date, it's not appearing. Why? Even though we declare this as a searchable. Okay, this is one of the bug. I would say bug, or maybe not what we have seen in Sailpoint. We have declared this attribute for searchable purpose, but it's not appearing. What should we do now?
Change the type, I guess, instead of date, or
if you came across this issue, you have to go to debug page. This is the solution. Okay, whatever attributes we are going to create from GUI, from front end, if you want to access them from the backend, what will be the object type we are going to choose? Is it going to be attribute? No. Standard
No, it's
attribute? No.
identity. Oh, okay, never mind.
Hmm?
Is it identity something? I don't know. I don't
No.
remember.
So we have to access all type of attributes. So we have to choose object config. Object config is the object name. Now you have to choose for which object you are going to deal with these attributes.
I have a question. How do I know which object to look for? I mean, it's
So based on the experience you are going to learn. We don't have such documents.
okay.
Okay, so that's why whenever I'm talking about any chapter, so I'll try to explain from front end and DB both. I mean, the object browser debug page. So now we have created attribute for entitlement. So you have to choose managed attribute. Here you could see from line number 4 to I couldn't see. Okay, from line number 4 to 6, here we have privileged entitlement, what we have added. From line number 7 to 9, privileged entitlement owner, correct? So now, I think which one is not appearing? Yes. Privileged entitlement is not appearing. Owner is appearing, correct?
Yeah.
From 7 to 9, you can ignore. From line number 4 to 5, 4 to 6, here, before after name, you have to type named column equal true. So this is going to be the fix. If it is not appearing, then you have to add something like this: named column is equal to true.
What is that, a bug in the system or what?
I don't know. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't call it as a bug. But when we faced this issue in real-time project, we reached vendor team, and after that we came to know we have to add something like this.
Mhm.
So we have added named column is equal to true right now. Save this. Now go to entitlement, select again, maybe refresh. Even though it's not appearing, it should appear. Maybe before name. Because I'm making some mistake.
But did you execute it? You saved
No,
it,
no,
but
no.
you
Just
didn't
a minute.
execute
Let
it.
me close. Named column is equal to true. Let me add before name. Named column is equal to true. Save. Now we'll go to advanced analytics. Access review. Okay, entered. Okay, even though it's not appearing. So apart from this, we have to check. Okay, the data type should be string. Now refresh. Now it's appearing. Okay. You got it?
Mhm.
Okay, so this is how we can map the value. We can define some value for entitlement or application, roles, certification, accounts. Okay, but for identity, we
But
will get
but
fetch the value from identities.
in
Sorry,
this
wait, of
case,
course.
maybe it didn't appear because it's a date, it's an integer
Exactly.
rather
It's a
than
data type.
string.
Maybe it's data
Yeah.
type. If you're selecting
Yeah.
string, even though it's not appearing, then you have to add named column is equal to true.
Yeah, if it's not appearing, but
Okay.
it didn't appear this time, maybe because it was set to date. The integer rather than
Yeah, the data type was defined as date. That's why maybe it could be a reason. It could be the reason. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So guys, that's all about extended attribute. As much as I can cover, I have covered everything. So if you have any question, anything you would like to clarify, we can.
That is not particular to this topic, but coming to the
Yeah.
track application.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. We can.
See, for track, we have mentioned the owner as a different ID, right? Irrespective
Yes.
of SP admin.
Hmm.
So when we request access from the end user, it will be going into that owner who is having, right, here this particular 00.
Okay. If you don't mind, Shani, can you share your screen?
Yeah, once.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, member. You can stop sharing.
Yeah, is it visible?
Yes, it's visible.
I'm logging into the user
Okay.
where so he raised an access request, and if you see that track my request, so here I have
You
given
have
for
denied.
three entitlements, input super approve. Yeah, but previously the administrator is not owner,
Mm.
so that's why I have cancelled here. Here you
Okay.
can see
Okay. Who is the owner for this? Owner.
IA
1A, 2A.
1A,
Okay.
2A.
Okay.
So can he approve these requests?
Yeah,
Do
he
this
can approve.
have- Okay.
You have to
But
log in as 1A, 2A.
yeah, so for that he needs to have credentials, right? The password.
Right. So how to get the credential? That's your question. Is that your question?
Yeah, so there are two ways. One thing, I have created a creation rule, but it is not working.
Okay. Can you log in as SP admin first?
Yeah.
So you have created a creation rule to set the password, I believe.
Yeah, yes,
So
for
the
all the
password
IDs.
will be executed while creating the identity. Once the identity got created, the rule won't execute. I mean, the password won't be set. So this is the out of the box feature. You got it?
Not clear.
Okay, let me explain. Let me take control. Let's talk about the rule first.
Yeah.
You have created this rule, right? Creation
Yeah.
rule.
Yes.
Let me have a look. So you have import identity object and you have set the password QWERTY, right?
Yeah.
It's fine. But now the question is, identity is the class. Yeah, everything is right. So have you select this rule while aggregating the data first time? Because the password will be defined in the first time only, first time aggregation.
No, in the
Next time
first time
aggregation,
I didn't create a rule for the first
okay.
time.
Then do one thing, offboard this application, onboard it again, and set this password before running the first aggregation, first time aggregation.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So the password will be set.
So manually what I have done is for 1 second. Can you go to the ID IA 1A?
Yes.
1A, 1A.
Maybe. Oh, okay. Maybe you can, right? You can set,
Yeah.
change the password from here also.
Yeah. Here, change password. So
yes.
For this particular ID, I have given manually.
Mm.
So I just opened this account and I have raised a request.
So now if you want to approve the work item, you have to 1A, 2A is the approver, right? You have to change his password and you have to log in as a 1A, 2A.
So what's the difference between this owner having, actually he is not an administrator, right? How can he give an approval?
No, in Sailpoint, each and every identity can act as an approver. Whether they are a basic user or administrator, it doesn't consider. Anybody can act as an approver if their name is going to define in the rule as a owner, in the role or entitlement or application. So the respective person will act as an approver. You got it?
Yeah.
It
So for
doesn't
any
check the
target
designation.
So the target application can have an administrator as an owner and any user as identity as an owner, right?
It depends. Whatever identities username they want us to select, we will select, and that particular person will act as an approver, irrespective of their nature of job or designation. They may be vice president, they may be normal user. They can act as an approver. Okay.